Hello. So in today's video, I just want to give a quick um, overview of how our family became a family of immigrants, and I'll just talk about kind of the first part of my journey. I see it more of as a three-part, but we'll just focus on the immigration part. So when I was 6 years old, my dad left. He left Poland. He was a tour bus driver, so he had the ability to leave communist Poland, and he opted not to come back. He ended up staying in Austria for a bit, and then at the first opportunity that he had, he found a sponsor, a priest, I believe, in the United States. He came over to the States, and within a year or so, under the Reagan administration, he filed for family reunification. He says, which my mom and I got, and that's how we were able to reunite with him when I was 8 years old. So I remember specifically, we were living in a one-room apartment condo that had belonged to my dad's grandmother, and I was in bed, but I wasn't asleep, and I heard my parents talking in the foyer, and that got me interested. And I got up to see what was going on. My dad was dressed in a jacket with his suitcase, and I realized he was trying to leave. And nobody talked to me about leaving before. I had no idea what was going on. I remember grabbing his brown scarf, trying to keep him from going. He ended up leaving me. That's all I remember about that. Shortly after that, my mom and I moved with her mom in my grandmother's house, and that's where we lived when we started packing for the big move. And one thing I remember about that is there were big wooden crates in my grandma's garage, and that's where we would put all of our big things. My mom had custom-made furniture that we were shipping over, like large duvet, down comforters because it got cold in Poland, and apparently my mom figured that's what we would need here too. So a lot of things that were Polish. Remember, this was during communism. I don't think my mom thought that we could come back. So even though, interestingly, I was told that if I didn't like it, I could come back in 15 years. I don't know why 15 years. That's how I remember. I was 8 when we left. I had not even experienced 15 years. I don't know how long that was, but that was enough to help me feel, okay, fine, that's fine. I'll come back. It's worth a shot. We'll go. We'll reunite with my dad. I miss my dad. We would write letters back and forth, and we didn't have a phone back then, but my mom's friend did. So we would schedule appointments with my dad, and we would go over to my mom's friend's house and wait for him to call us, and that's how we would talk on the phone. So yeah, so I missed my dad. Why not? Let's go and see him. But I also was gonna miss my school, my friends, my grandmother, great-grandmother, my other family there, the country, the culture, my language. I didn't even know that was something I was going to be missing. At any rate, I turned 8 in October. 2 months later, we were in the States. So I started second grade in September, turned 8 in October, and in December we were out of there. So we didn't have yearbooks, but we had little memory books. I remember walking around and getting all my friends and my teachers to sign it, and they had a little going away. My teacher got me a book and a card, and all my classmates signed it. So that was very nice. When we were leaving, my great-grandmother and my grandfather were standing in the doorway of my grandma's house, waving to us, and that was sad. I mean, I ended up seeing both of them again after that a couple times, but just thinking about it makes me sad. My grandmother actually came on the train from my hometown in Bydgoszcz. She went on the train to Warszawa, to the capital, with us, and that's where we had to go to take the flight to the States. And right before we were going through customs, right before we had to separate, she gave me a doll dressed in traditional Polish regional attire. So, and I've always cherished the doll, still have the doll. when I didn't want to fly. I recently, shortly before our flight, there was a plane crash, and apparently that was in the news. I don't know how I found out about it. I remember being afraid, and a very famous Polish singer, Anna Jantar, was on there, who died. And basically, I was told, you know what, she died from food poisoning. If you don't eat the meat on the plane, you'll be fine. And apparently, for an 8-year-old at that point, that was good enough. The flight itself was pretty awesome. When we were going over Greenland, the captain came on the loudspeaker and said that if we all go to one side of the plane, we'll be able to see polar bears. So everybody kind of came over on the side, and we were looking through the windows, and we actually saw tiny little bears walking around. It was fantastic, awesome. Something else that you're never going to see nowadays anymore is I was allowed to go into the cockpit with the pilot and see all the displays and all the buttons and lights and everything that was in there. That was pretty cool. What wasn't cool is having to make an emergency landing in Canada. It got dark in our plane. Apparently, we were for some reason running out of electricity. I don't know how else to describe it. We ended up waiting for 10 hours in Canada to get our plane fixed. So we just sat on the bench and kind of waited and waited and waited. When we finally arrived in the States, my dad picked us up. Interesting, I don't remember. We have photos of our reunion, but I don't remember seeing my dad again or how I felt about that. I think I was just tired from the trip. The ride back I remember though, because it was dark and it was December and there were colorful Christmas lights outside, and we didn't do that in Poland back then. Nobody has Christmas lights outside, they keep them inside since you have to pay for electricity. So that was pretty awesome. I was just thinking, wow, this is America. Color lights at night for a kid. I just felt like I was on the North Pole with Santa, I guess. It was just really awesome. And then a couple other funny things. When we first got here, drinking orange juice from a box, that was weird. And also, my first pizza, I ate it with a fork and knife, because that was a proper protocol. Everything is eaten with a fork and knife, apparently, unless it's a soup. So yes, I did that. School, what I remember about school is, like I said, I started 2nd grade in September. January, I was in the school in the States. They try to keep me back. They try to actually put me back a grade back in 1st grade. My dad said absolutely not. And I'm so glad he did that. January, February, March, I was skipped into the 3rd grade, finished the school year in 3rd grade. Started the school year in 2nd grade, finished the school year in 3rd grade. Didn't really know a lick of English. I took some English classes in Poland. Not very good, because I was pronouncing the word girl, girl. If you can hear that, I was using authentic Polish pronunciation, girl. Quickly told that is not how you say it. I had some ESL classes that I was being pulled out of. There was another Polish kid in my school that they tried to hook us up so that he would help me. That didn't go over very well. The reason I got skipped, not for my English ability, was part of the reason. I'm assuming, I can't imagine that this was the only reason, but I was taking up math tests. It was it was like addition and subtraction. And one problem said 3 plus 0 equals, and of course I put 3 plus 0 equals 3. And it was marked wrong by my teacher, and then she corrected it to 0. Obviously my parents took that to the principal, and I guess I was given some other assessment tests, I'm assuming in math because it wasn't going to be in English, and based on that they moved me, which is interesting. I hate math now. Maybe it's the way that it was taught. I don't know, but it was definitely, we were doing pre-algebraic expressions in Poland, by the time I was starting 2nd grade. So I don't know why I didn't end up succeeding in math, but at any rate, so yeah, that's how I got skipped. And then over that summer, Didn't have any friends made yet. My English wasn't that great, so I was reading a lot, and come September, my fourth grade, I remember hearing my name over the loudspeaker. I was announced as the winner of their summer reading program because I had submitted a list of all the books that I had read. They were in Polish, but they counted because they were encouraging literacy. So that's kind of my very first memories of being in the States. The second part of this journey that I wanted to talk about will deal with um, dual citizenship, and I'm going to save that for my next video. Thank you.